we are going to pass to a fabulous Dr. Audrey to tell us, are we really losing the plot with this stress that is being directed towards us? So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Audrey Tang, and I'm going to put her on the spotlight right now. Woohoo! Dr. Audrey.
Thank you so much. And you know what, like Phil, I switch off the news now as well. But he did the right thing with ending with the weather, because pretty much it happens. And the whole thing about stress busting is that when we hit rock bottom, we need to stop digging and start climbing. And that is what today is going to be all about. But the question is, why do we dig? Why do we actually think, I'm here, I'm feeling so awful, I'm gonna make myself feel that little bit worse? Why do we do that? Well, it actually can be answered by the way our body responds to stress. Let's just do a little bit of the science here. These are my data slides. So slide number 1. When we have a threat, whatever that threat might be, in evolutionary times, it was the lion chasing us in the forest. But now it can be speaking to Virgin. It can be speaking to somebody about vaccines. It can be toxic people. It can be all kinds of things. But that threat, that sends our blood pressure rising. It makes our heartbeat faster. We start getting clammy and sweaty. Why? Because our body is preparing to fight or to run away. That is known as the stage of resistance. So the threat happens, the alarm starts ringing, we then have to resist. But if we actually fight the threat, then that's great, we can return back to normal. But if we don't win, or we hide and the threat still doesn't run away, unfortunately what happens is the body cannot stay in that heightened state of energy for that length of time. We fall into exhaustion. That's what happens. But the biggest difference between how we are in the 21st century and how we were back then is that stress is no longer physical. So whether you then thought, oh my goodness, I was worried, is she going to smash her glass? What's going on there? No, that's no threat there at all. That was psychological. That's the threat of the 21st century. It is simply our brains. And therefore, in the same way as we needed physical strength to fight the physical threat way back in evolution stages, we actually need to build mental and emotional, psychological strength in order to beat the threats that we find today. So let's think about how the fight and flight response actually works. Let's take the example of speaking to Virgin Media. If we are there to try and fight it, so the alarm is my internet's broken, the resistance is I'm calling one customer service provider, I'm calling another one, I'm trying to speak to Balkan, I am getting myself worked up because nothing's being fixed, I have to explain my story 5 or 6 times, and then by the end of the day, I have a reference number so that I can speak to somebody the next day who may or may not call me back. Meanwhile, I have also been preparing a 3-course meal for my spouse and my children. I have done home learning as well as working from home without the internet. And I've also been able to have a parent-teacher conversation over the phone about why my child is failing at school. That is what we have to do when we're fighting. But then there's the alternative. We might decide instead to run away or hide or fly, which results in the following things. Number 1, we might simply just feel really, really enraged. And when we're enraged, we are going to yell at people. We are going to have a go, no matter who we're having a go at, because it makes us feel better. Actually, psychological research suggests it doesn't make us feel better. It, in fact, imprints the feeling of anger a lot longer. So just bear that one in mind. But the problem with rage is, even if we say take it out on the Virgin Media person, or perhaps we vent to friends, what actually happens there is we might start breaking down some relationships. So digging and finding rage, not so helpful. Alternatively, still digging here, so rock bottom, still digging. Alternatively, we might hide, run away, cower. So let's just wait, I'll ignore it. I can't use the internet, but I'm going to ignore it, and maybe it will come back. Yeah, good luck with that one. So we might just hide, hope it goes away. Probably won't, let's be honest with you, because often we're going to have to deal with things. Still on the digging. Last one. Let's just get really, really angry. Let's just get so fed up and lash out at everybody, which then in turn can result in further problems. We might end up doing something like smashing a window or a television or something, which may cause us further things that we have to fix afterwards. All of that not helpful at all. So what do we actually need to do? Well, first of all, we need to understand that our stress reaction is simply that. It is a reaction. It's instinctive. However, because it is psychological and because the brain is so complex, we can actually choose a response. The problem is, however, you might end up a hot mess, but other people don't seem to be. Now, why is that? Is it because in choosing this response, they're actually, you know, richer? They're actually better than us? They're actually just luckier than we are? No, no. What they might be is they might be a little bit more emotionally and mentally fitter than we are. And there is actually a very simple reason for that. They may have learned certain tools in order to boost their emotional and mental fitness. In exactly the same way, you can learn certain exercises to boost your physical fitness. Alternatively, they may simply be using those tools regularly, whereas you and I may have forgotten. Why? Because we may simply have spent so much time, for whatever reason, looking out for other people that we've forgotten to build that emotional and physical and mental strength for ourselves. Now, at no point am I saying to you that it is a horrible thing to be kind to others. Kindness, compassion, the story Gordy told us about helping somebody, that makes us feel absolutely wonderful. However, it is so important to remember what they tell us on airlines when we used to travel. Affix your own mask first before you help somebody else. Because if you are struggling mentally and emotionally or physically, you could end up being more of a problem if you're trying to then help someone else. The reason why we need to remember to build up our mental and emotional fitness is so that we are better when we stand up and help other people. Now, the good news is it's actually really easy to do. So in today's very quick workshop session, I'm going to take you through a number of practical tools in order to give you a focus and some mental clarity in order that you can actually hear through all of that white noise of demands and pressures to really think about what you want to achieve and be able to achieve it. So I'm going to give you some cognitive mental tools. But I'm also going to give you emotional tools, which will help you build a network that can support you, because research has shown if we have just one friend that we can turn to, just one person that we can actually spill our hearts to, we have a healthier outlook on life, we have lower blood pressure, we have less risk of illness and less risk of an early death, which is a great thing to be able to have. So our network is so, so important. And the last thing I'm going to give you is very simple tips in order to energize you, to make it easier to keep practicing that mental and emotional fitness. Because like physical fitness, you've got to keep using the muscle, otherwise it will disappear. But also like physical fitness, there are some days you just don't feel like it. So energizing yourself is the third component, and it's really important. And in the end, especially in the 21st century, the secret to stress busting is knowing that who you are will far outweigh what you know and what you have. And we build up who we are by cognitive, mental strength, emotional strength, and energizing our own battery. So let's start with the mental tools. I want you to think about focus. And let's first look at this grid on this side. Now, this is a coaching wheel. And the way you can use this, I'm going to demonstrate it on the board so you can actually do this with me. You can do this for a goal. You can do this for a project. You can do this for overall life balance. I don't mind what you do it for. But you draw a circle and you break it down into 8 different segments. Okay, so that's your wheel here. And you write down what it is you're aiming for. Now, maybe you're aiming for overall well-being, for example, just feeling happy. Or you might be aiming for, I know, world domination. That's all right too. You don't need to tell people what you're aiming for, but whatever that goal is, write that down. Only you know what that goal is. So you write down what that goal is. Then in these 8 segments, you write down all the different things you need to do in order to achieve that goal. So what this task is doing, it is reminding you every time you look at it to think, this is what I want. I don't want to be involved in other people's psychodramas. I don't want to get involved with toxic people who exhaust me, because I want to focus on this. Sometimes the reason we get sucked in to other people, to playing a supporting role, not even the lead in someone else's psychodrama, is because we do not know what our goal is. So I'm just going to use the example of well-being, because if you see me think out the world domination, you're going to get a very different opinion of me. But let's use well-being for my example. One of the things that I need for good well-being is I need to see my friends. I need to have friendships. I want to spend time with my husband, so spouse. I want to see my family, or at least be in touch with my family. I also love my job, so my career is here. Finances, I need to know where my next paycheck's coming from. And then the others might be, actually, I really like spending time with my pets, so I like going out. I like to exercise. And I also like to have time to read. That's just something that gives me a lot of pleasure. So if I'm doing all of those things, generally, I'm feeling pretty good. But the next step after you've written those things down is to see how far you are. If this is 0 and this is 10, I want you to mark on this wheel where you are. So with my friends, I'm not actually seeing them all that much, but I speak to them on WhatsApp, so we're about there. I see my husband all the time, but actually because he's working on shifts and I'm working on a timetable, we don't see each other all that much. I see my dad quite a lot, which is lovely because I'm his care bubble and he has a lot of hospital appointments, so I see him quite a lot. I'm pretty happy with my career. We're pretty much good up there at the moment. I'm lucky to be still working. And so with that, my finances are okay. Walking my dog regularly, exercising regularly, and reading regularly. Now, the reason why we do this, we think about this, is because the tendency that we have, if we don't have a visual representation, is to do the things that are easy. So why do you think pets is so high up? Well, I have to walk my dog every day. I just have to do it. No choice. Why is exercise so high up? Because I run every day. Again, I get up early to do that. But by looking at the areas which are lacking, we are able to see where we need to place our focus. And that actually helps us prioritize. Because if you are saying, these are all the things I need to be able to achieve my goal, stop doing the ones that are already full and start spending the time on the ones that are getting a bit more depleted. The reason why we end up spending time on the ones that are already full is because either they're easy or they're in our comfort zone. So we often need to see this to know what we want to do and where we are in relation to doing it. So this is one of my favorite tools to start off, to really get your focus clear and work towards your goal and know how to reach it. So that's the first thing. But the second thing you may have come across is this quadrant. So it is the urgent and important quadrant, because of course we have our goal, we have all the things we want to do, but the problem is we don't have enough time. So this is an excellent time management tool, and this is how you can work it. If something is urgent and important, it goes up in this corner. If it is important but not urgent, it goes here. If it is not important, so not important, but it's urgent, it goes there. And if it's not important and not urgent, it goes there. So urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then not important, not urgent. That's your fours. And what you can do is you can put all your priorities, all the things you have to do, into those categories. So let's think about how you would do that. Urgent and important. Well, that example there might be your career. It's urgent because you have to be there and you have to go to work on Monday to Friday if you're not furloughed. So hopefully that's a good thing, a positive thing. It's also important that you do it. So therefore work might come into urgent and important, get it done. Important but not urgent. Now that might be something which you could delay. So this is a do. If anything is in there, you do it. If it's important but it's not urgent, can you delay it? So this might be a bit of DIY. Here, that is important. You want to have a nicer office environment. But is it as urgent as some of the stuff you have to do in here? If it's not, delay it. Keep it there so you remember to do it, but delay it. The not important but urgent is something like making dinner, or for me, walking the dog. It's urgent, dinner has to be made, the dog has to be walked, but is it important that I do it? If it's not, delegate. And we forget that one. We forget the power of delegation. We forget that we have other people in our team. And when I say team, I mean our families. I mean our friends. Team does not necessarily just mean work colleagues. If your family can work as a team, if your friendship group can work as a team, you will probably find people who may be able to help you out here. So urgent, important, you do. Urgent, important but not urgent, you delay it. Not important but urgent, you delegate it. And this one is perfectly simple. If it's not important and not urgent, just delete it. Just get rid of it. Here is where I put doom scrolling. Here is where I put watching the news. Here is where I put going on Facebook and getting jealous or anxious over everything that I see on there. So if it is not urgent and not important, delete it. Now I prefer to simply just see it as the do, delay, delegate, delete quadrant. These are the things I have to do. These are my priorities. Often they relate to these. These are the things also that relate, but they're just not as urgent. These are the things which actually I might empower somebody else if I let them do it once in a while. Delegate them. And frankly, other people's psychodramas go in there as well. Just get rid of them. So these are two very, very powerful tools to get you focused. These are the cognitive tools to get you focused on what it is you want to do and remind you as to what you need to do first. That will help you get a sense of clarity. Now, that's not always very easy. Why? Because I have clients who will look at this and they'll go, yeah, it's really good. And maybe you're feeling like that too. But the truth is, tomorrow you might wake up, look at that grid and go, I just can't even do it. You might look at that and go, whatever, don't want to do that. So we need to build up your emotional strength as well. This is where your network becomes really, really important. So these are 4 other exercises I'd like you to think about. So mental strength, emotional strength. Now, you don't need to draw these cute little pictures, but let's think about this one. So if you want to, you can draw a cup of tea. The question here is who, assuming we could invite people over, who would you want to spend an afternoon having tea with? Put their names down in that particular cup. And then go one step further. Think about why you would like to spend time with those particular people. Think about their values. Think about the things they bring to your life. And when you can do that, you've already got the start of a gratitude journal. The way you use that is simply as you're brushing your teeth at night, think about 3 people that you are grateful for, that you'd invite to tea, and why. Here's where it gets special. If you do that for, say, a week, you will notice a pattern. That pattern will be certain people show up here all the time. Certain people do not. Then you know who to spend more of your time with, whether it's on a Zoom call, whether it's on a WhatsApp message, whether it's seeing them 2 feet apart across a park. But those, the ones who come up all the time, those people are the ones who are important. Those are the ones you need to spend time with, or maybe see them a little bit later. But the ones who don't come up all the time, question mark this. The ones who don't come up that end up playing on your mind, question mark this. Now, here's my second secret. What if you don't actually want to delete them? Or what if you can't, okay? Well, that's easy. I simply do the gratitude exercise, notice who comes up the most, then I just choose to spend more time with them. And then the easy thing happens, all the toxic ones, they just get frozen out. They just get eased out. I don't have time for them. So I don't go seeking them out, because I'm spending all the time with the ones I want to have tea with. So that's how this little exercise works. There's a second part to this exercise though as well. Those people, you need to remember that friendship is two-way. All those values, all those things that you love, you best be showing to these people as well. Otherwise they're going to start thinking, do I want to delete this person? And this is where the thought process comes in. Tell them. Tell them. Drop them a text. Do it right now. Tell them, I'm really grateful to have you in my life because of whatever. Tell them why. You may also, the first time you call them, may want to put at the end, well, I was in this comedy session and the strange lecturer said, I needed to call you, because otherwise they're going to text you back and they're going to say, are you drunk? But why should it be like that? Why shouldn't we simply be able to just tell people we love them without being drunk? So I made my world like that. You can make your world like that too. Know who you love, tell them you love them. Now, this one. This is a slightly different one. It's kind of similar, but not exactly the same. These are not necessarily people that you see every day and want to maintain a friendship with. These people are people that maybe you've lost touch with. Mentors, people that inspired you, teachers, people who made a difference in your life perhaps a long time ago. Or they can even be people you want to reach out to now too. And here, the challenge is to just simply reach out to them. Write them a letter, write them a text, a tweet, a Facebook message. It doesn't matter if they don't respond, because you weren't necessarily in touch with them anyway. But if they do, then that connection is such a wonderful thing, because they meant something to you in the past. Those feelings will be enough to re-energize and warm your heart again. And you never know, you might rekindle an old flame, rekindle an old inspiration that perhaps you never knew you could still have. So that's just something, an added extra. This last one, we're still thinking about gratitude here, but this last one, that's about you. I want you to think right now, and I want you to think of your automatic reaction when somebody says to you, thank you so much, thank you. Now, is it? It's nothing. Don't mention it. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just my job. Is it like that? If it is, you need to learn to appreciate gratitude. Because if you don't, if you keep saying, no, it's nothing, forget it, it's just my job, whatever, chances are you will also be the same person who is thinking, oh, no one thanks me, no one likes me, no one appreciates me. They do, you're just not hearing it. So what you can do, catch yourself if you do it, but when somebody says thank you to you, especially if they've told you why, smile at them and say, you're very welcome. Don't dismiss it. And actually that has an extra benefit. It tells that other person, I've heard you and I appreciate you saying that. Because as we know in the world, thanking people is not actually all that natural to a lot of people, which is why I sadly have to put the caveat on this one. But somebody told you to do it. So that's why if somebody reaches out to you and says thank you and appreciates you, hold that thought, respect it for what it is, and say to them, you're very welcome. Not only does that make you connect with them better, but actually it connects with you better as well. And you will begin to value yourself as somebody who has touched the life of somebody else. Now that is pretty valuable. So, mental tools, emotional tools, but there's a third. And that third is daily energizers. You need to top up your energy tank. Because if you do not do that, you, with all the will in the world, will lose the motivation to do this. You will lose the motivation to do that. So here are the easy things that you can do. The first thing to remember, though, is that some people like to be energized and that makes them feel great. Other people like to relax and that makes them feel great. Sometimes you might want a mix of both. The secret is to understand three different things. Number one, what gives me pleasure? Doesn't matter whether it's energizing or relaxing, doesn't matter. What gives me pleasure? If you can feel it, work it out, recognize it, you can write it down somewhere. At least you've got it, you know it. The second thing is to work out on what gives you pleasure. Does this energize me or does this relax me? Balance. Does it energize me or does it relax me? The third thing, what do I need right now? If you are stressed, the last thing you need is an energizer. If you are depressed, the last thing you need is a relaxer. So that's why you work out those three things. Am I enjoying it? What is it doing? What do I need right now? And then simply, because you've worked out what you enjoy, you choose the right one. Now, if you're going to have a little bit of trouble working that out, this is one of my favorite exercises, which I have mentioned to you before in a different session, but as we may have new people here, I will mention it again. And this exercise is the Spices Challenge. And this was given to me by a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine. She's a superb award-winning coach. Her name is Sharon Lawton. Look her up. She's at natural-flair.com. And this is the Spices Challenge. The special thing about the Spices Challenge is it takes you around 6 different types of energizers or relaxers. 3 of them are energizers, 3 of them are relaxers. The first is social. If seeing people energizes you usually, or maybe it calms you down, then that might be something that you can try. So the challenge is try something social, whatever that might be. That social might be volunteering. It might be seeing people. It's up to you what it is. but that social thing, give it a go. The next is physical. That's another energizer. Going for a run, doing some exercise, dancing. Physical. Sex can come under there as well, although that might work as a relaxer for some. Intellectual pursuits. Being intellectual. Now that one also tends to be an energizer. Doing a new course, reading something and trying it out, learning a new skill. The reason why the acronym is SPICES is because it adds flavor to your life. But the reason why I ask you to try these different things out is because most of us have a comfort zone of feel-good things. And actually, just because we haven't tried something doesn't mean it won't work for us. So the more things we try, the more we have in our artillery, the more we can bust stress when it occurs. Creativity. Express yourself through song, through dance, through poetry, through journaling, through writing. That is quite often, especially if you're doing it for yourself, that can be quite a relaxing thing because it gets out a lot of the feelings. Spiritual. Maybe that is meditation. Maybe that is affirmations. Or alternatively, it can simply be going for a walk and listening to the birds. That gives us a connection with nature. Humans love nature, and we actually, it's known as biophilia. We are very connected to it, and it can make us feel a lot better. And the last thing is emotional. And that might be watching an old rerun of something, just makes you feel comfortable. You can see behind me, I've got fluffy things around me, and if I feel a bit sad, I'll wrap myself up in them and I just stroke. I was going to say stroke myself, but that just sounds wrong, but I'll stroke the blanket. But unless you try them, how do you know what's going to work for you? So my challenge to you is to try one of those in each different category every single day, just for 6 days, and see if you can find some new things that actually make you feel energized. So that is the Energizer. And if you manage to do all of those things, if you manage to work out what it is you really want and how it is you're going to get there, and you have streamlined your support network so you are surrounded with people who you can really be yourself with and be on your wavelength and really connect with and thrive with, plus you feel energized because you have been investing in yourself. And certainly for the next 6 days with that Spices Challenge, you're doing one thing every day just to make you feel a little bit more energized. Then you might find that the anger that you would have used for digging becomes assertiveness. You might then find the cowering, the hiding away that you would have dug with becomes creativity. You find an answer. You find a way around it. And the last thing that you've been digging, that rage turns into reaching out, connecting with the people who will be able to help you, who will be able to boost you up, to energize you. And then you'll find, with all of those 3 things there, you stop digging and you start climbing. Thank you very, very much, guys. I hope that's been of help. Please do feel free to email me, which is audrey@clickproductions.co.uk, if you want me to talk any more about any of those techniques and those tips. And a really quick plug, my book, The Leader's Guide to Resilience, it's my 3rd book, which I'm very excited about, which has all of these practical exercises inside it. It is out tomorrow. That is the actual launch date. So I'm so excited to be actually doing this particular session today, just in time for that. So thank you all so very, very much. It's been my pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me, Gordy.
Thank you so much, lovely. You know, throughout, I've written so much, and you've reminded me of so many things. You know, um, ignore on one side, it's actually euro notes. This one is, yeah, it's important to have the money. The only notebook I had, you know, with a little cup of tea. I couldn't stop thinking about Morgan Freeman. Do you have his number by any chance?
I wish. Morgan, if you're out there.
Morgan, we need you. You know, Gordon needs you. No, it was, I'm sure I can find a stand in for him. I will find somebody. But I just find just the whole package. The man, wouldn't you want to have him for dinner? Just like once in the lifetime. Oh, and that voice, that soothing voice, yes. But I will find a mentor who will, I'll just say, can you just, you know, read Morgan Freeman's, I don't know, from Shawshank Redemption or something, lines, just to remind me. Gosh, I've written so much, and I love this, especially the bit, people you lost touch with. And
Yeah.
that is because, you know, sometimes people move out of your life, and it really made me think and really reflect. I've just connected with one of the professors from UCL. You know, we met some 25 years ago, and, you know, we were almost kind of opposite each other in terms of departments at uni. And one of my professors, he retired, moved to Spain and stuff. And the other day, I just asked him about some magnetic field. It was almost like a joke. I was researching for a joke, reached out to him because it was his field. And it was so lovely. You know, like he remembered me after so many years. And oh, I was so pleased to be in touch. So really, but you know, I would have never connected with somebody just out of the blue if I didn't have a reason. But I think it was that creativity that prompted me. And, you know, it was kind of stronger than my fear, you know, contacting this old man I lost touch with. But I'm so pleased I'm back in touch with him. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, lovely. How do you find yourself? You know, you've got a husband, you've got a lovely, is it Brandy, your dog?
Brandy the dog.
How do you find it? And also delivering all these lectures for important guys all over the place. When you are, I know you are like buzzing from one place to another. Did you find yourself you've had to make adjustments? Because for, you know, I've known you for such a long time, and you know, you are totally unfazed. When I grow up, I want to be you. You know, just, and I know you practice, you know, everything you preach. But how have you personally dealt with it? Is it too personal for me to ask you?
No,
Because
no,
I
it's
find it
actually,
interesting, because it makes sense, but also I know that some of it must have affected you, yet you don't show it at all.
it's a very, very fair question. And it is literally because I do practice what I preach. If I turn my camera a little bit further down here, or you might be able to see it, my own coaching wheel is down there. So I actually do my own, all of the things that I talk about. Another thing that you might see in the background is I have this breathing ball. Now, I never liked meditations, despite writing the book on mindfulness and having to record guided meditations. But over the last 6 months, I've really got into them. But what I do is I have an affirmation that immediately calms me down. And perhaps all of you can just try this one. And literally, you breathe in for 4 as this goes out, and breathe out through your mouth for 4. And this is the affirmation. Even if I can't control anything else, I can control my breathing. And you say that a few times, and immediately it moves me from reacting to actually choosing a response. And the thing that you need to remember about our emotions is, yes, they are going to be painful or difficult or unpleasant, and maybe the time at which we're feeling them isn't the time which we need to express them. And so doing something like that will quickly reset me, and then I can actually choose what I need to say and what I need to do. What I have found is it has been a very difficult time. I mean, it's been difficult for all of us, really, because we're all in lockdown. We can't see our friends and family. For my own situation, my dad was in hospital back in December. He went in for fluid on the lungs. Then he caught COVID on the ward. So he went in on the 16th of December, and then happy Christmas on the 25th. It was like, oh, positive COVID test. It was like, oh my God. And luckily he's fine, but I am so grateful that I'm one of those people where that has a happy ending. But after a month, he was finally discharged on the 11th of January. So it's been a long period. And when I say I'm part of his care bubble, I take him to his clinical appointments and follow-ups and things. Yes. And yes, it was stressful at the time, but things like the affirmations, making sure my network, the people I hang around with, are wonderful, supportive people who are just there, who are on my side, being able to still focus, because some of the things are, yes, you worry about it, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what can I actually do physically here? And if there is nothing I can physically do, why am I still beating myself up about it? Channel the energy into something else. Back to, rather than rage, reach out. Rather than anger, assert yourself. Rather than cower away, be creative. And so that helped me reframe and realign. And that continues to help me. So it really is finding what works for you and then doing the things that work. But those little top-ups of energy every single day. Even now, when I walk the dog in the morning and I step on that crisp, frosty grass, I do spend a moment going, oh, this is so nice. And those little wins, they're all we've got at the moment. So we do need to savor them. We do need to focus on them. So that would be the other things, just focus on the little wins right now.
Little wins. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Anybody else? I just, you know, Sam, he's very big on mental health as well. And I wanted to introduce you to the lovely Sam Ortil there. I'll connect you offline. You know, I'm a connector. I always do that with people, and I'm sure there will be a project between you two that you can, you know, carry something out. And also there will be a lot of my work colleagues watching. So, you know, on the Monday, I'll be discussing this in our team meeting. Yes, Sam, did you have a question? I mean, please do come in, because for you as well, you know, I wanted, especially from a guy, you know, you'll be brave here representing like half of our population. I find, and I'm sorry to be speaking out of turn here, but men are kind of acting a bit brave at the moment. And I'm kind of, just get real, just be honest, you know, just give me a call, like Phil Zimmerman, give me a call and talk to me, you know, I'm there, you know, okay, I'm maybe a bit more resilient. I also have my ups and downs, and I'm, you know, juggling things. But men, I find particularly are suffering at the moment, because, you know, I think there's that kind of having to pretend to have it all sorted and stuff like that. What would you advise? I know I don't want to be kind of getting into this kind of sexist kind of area and stuff, but what would you advise, you know, for particularly for those who are playing it brave? I hope Phil is less stressed after the presentation. This is Pete, one of his best mates. It's like saying, keeping an eye, you know, he's got like a philometer. He's measuring Phil's moods, and we'll be kind of administering him phone calls later. Well, Phil's got more people that love him than many others. So I don't feel for Phil. He's a bit of a drama queen, you know, in acting world, you know. He's got lots of love around him. But other men who are maybe a little bit introverted and stuff, any advice for them? So
A couple of things. First, I did want to, I was reading the chat, and I'm curious about the pigeons, Phil. That was something that popped up. I'm curious about pigeons.
Mustn't mention pigeons.
But yes, in terms of men, and one thing that is going on in the psych world is that we're calling it stress consultancy instead of stress management courses or stress counselling. It's stress consultancy. So guys feel a lot more comfortable talking to a consultant than they do a counsellor. Still the same thing, it's just renamed. But one thing I do notice about guys when they reach out is that sometimes they don't do it, not because they can't or because they can't express themselves, but actually because they don't like the response they get when they've done it to, say, a partner, to a friend, or to somebody else. Because often, and this is something that some women do, not all of them, I've learned not to do it. we get a bit, oh, okay, can I help you with it? Can I do something about it? Or we get upset and then it becomes a big deal. And the poor guy is now thinking, oh God, I really don't want to open that can of worms anymore. So that can be an issue. So sometimes it is about learning the different types of communication and knowing that, male or female, some people, if they're stressed, they want to go and do something on their own for a bit. Other people want to talk. Other people want to write things down. We all have different ways of doing things. What I would suggest, perhaps, on not so much for stress, but for communication, especially in relationships, do try out the love languages test. It's a free test, and you can get it at www.5lovelanguages.com. 5 is the number 5. www.5lovelanguages.com. Because what that says is we have a preference for expressing our love for each other, and that might be through acts of service, through words of affirmation, through gifts, through sexual intimacy, or through quality time. And because we have a certain preference for one of those things, we tend to express ourselves in those ways. And then if somebody else is expressing themselves using their preference, we may not recognize it, that they're actually showing us love. So that can start conflict in the first place. So one of the secrets for men and women, or just relationships in general, is that actually it's important to be able to understand how we communicate in the first place. That can prevent a lot of the issues. And then when we do actually communicate with each other, we do know that both parties may communicate in different ways.
Right. Yes, that's so. What you'd actually advise anybody who is in any kind of connection to do that test, so that you know each other's preferences. That's actually really, really useful, because I find that on my team as well, all those tests, it's actually quite useful just to know what their natural preference is, because, and also people will act slightly differently when they're under stress. It becomes even more kind of obvious. The boys are the boys. The boys will be boys. There's a little bit of banter going on in the background, Audrey. I thought I'll keep you updated. Phil and Pete are having kind of like a little match here, tennis match. I think we need to see Pete's beard. If it's not too stressful, Pete, show us. Peter Meer,
will be for the crowd.
show your face. No, he's. I love this. I'm very, very curious. He's grown. Oh, my camera is broken. I'm very stressed.
Not as stressed as the audience would be if they saw your beard.
No, Pete, he's joking. He's not stressed. He doesn't. His life is wonderful. He has no reasons to be stressed. He's wonderful, very much loved. You know, no stress in his life whatsoever. Wonderful. Anybody with any questions, darlings? I'm kind of dominating the conversation at the moment. Sam, would you like to come in? Anything you'd like to share? Any observations from you? You're fine. Phil, what about you? Do you feel a bit less stressed? Do you feel less stressed than when you started? I can see Audrey working on you. I think I can see her using you as a case study, really, from now on.
The magical effect, and all the virgin strays has just kind of melted away into universal love and peace.
Did you delete it? Did you put it in the delete? Sorry, I lost it a bit there. Sorry about that. I lost it. It's been a really stressful Christmas.
Absolutely.
Bless you.
Bill Gates, take that.
Well, you know, I mean, he's in a different continent, Phil. Just let him be. It's fine. So what you've done, you've put stuff in the fourth column, basically. You deleted some of this. You distance yourself from it, and it doesn't impact you as much. Yes.
I don't think it had a bad effect on me.
And also you are Buddhist. Oh, Audrey. Phil is actually a Buddhist, so he does a lot of chanting as well.
Yeah, can you tell?
No. Try harder.
Testimony to your acting talent.
I'm all about peace and love.
And fucks.
Yes, you've got, got to have that.
How do we do on the fuckometer?
Yeah. Oh, Pete is showing his face now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Good.
Amazing. Yes. Well, you know what? Yeah, looking good, looking good. And I love that you've nicely, evenly cut it, and you've got actually very balanced, confess. You're really relaxed at the moment, aren't you, Pete?
I am, yeah.
I am, yeah. Oh, bless.
That's because of Dr. Audrey.
Dr. Audrey, you met before. Pete, did you have a question? Did you have a question? Yes.
I made a few notes. Like I think I missed out one of them on the. Let me just quickly look at my laptop notes. Sorry.
I've got an observation, Pete. People looking at Pete there now, saying, "Who says that lockdown causes mental problems?"
It's all about sporting orient, as you said. Audrey, the last bit, the Spice Challenge.
Yes.
There was social, physical, intellectual. Was there one more?
Yes, social, physical, intellectual, creative, spiritual, and emotional.
Spiritual and emotional, lovely.
Yes, got it, yes. Yeah.
There's not many questions because I always do a gratitude thing. I always do a daily success list. I went to like an MMI seminar a few years ago, and I've tried to follow that strategy. But your one's really good. Delete, delay, delete, delegate. I really like that.
I like that one. These two are my favourite sort of mental ones. I just think it helps clarify what it is I'm aiming for, and that's part of the goal actually. Because if you don't know what you're aiming for, how can you actually aim for it, and how do you know when you succeeded with it? Plus, it gives you that focus, which means that you can actually say no to other things, and it is okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. It's the other thing we need to remind ourselves sometimes.
Just say no.
Yeah, that's the most difficult sentence for Pete to say.
And if they don't get
Gordana, you might not get that reference because it's from a TV show in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't, no.
If they don't get their message, tell them to fuck off.
Love it. I'm still thinking about in Dumbo, there is a scene where Phil's character gets killed, which is very, very stressful.
I always get killed in everything I'm in.
Yeah, but that's your purpose, I think, in movies, Phil. Yes.
Well, if you're going to get
I'm a
killed in
Buddhist,
a
I
film,
reincarnate.
surely you would choose Colin Farrell to do it.
Colin Farrell. Yes. No, never. No. I'm staying faithful to Phil. Come on, who's Colin
Farrell?
Farrell?
Him back for that punch. I need to get him back for that.
Oh,
punch.
it's true. You really need to return that. Yes.
Yeah.
Bless. Fantastic. Well, darlings, I think we're going to wind it up here. Audrey, will it be okay if I share all your contact details? So as always, there are people who want to contact you. I also have a company who are kind of, because they've had kind of quite a few incidents of COVID and stuff like that, and that's kind of played havoc. So I will put you also in touch with one of the companies. I mean, it was actually earlier today. I haven't had a chance to write to you about it, but they would like you to run a workshop for them as well on kind of building the resiliency and stuff within the teams. So we will share you as much as we can, and thank you so much for joining us and giving us this fantastic insight, something really practical. I've got the books. Thank you. Leader's Guide to Resilient. I've got Phil's as well. Phil, your book is here. And when lockdown is over, you can come, darling, and you can pick it up. You've got your own copy. Yes. From Dr. Audrey. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're connected now. So I will share, and also Audrey, one thing I didn't do last time when you run a workshop for us, and I'm so keen to do this time, is actually share your meditations if you're still okay with that, to give us the passcode and stuff like that.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I will contact you after this.
Yeah, those come from the Leader's Guide to Mindfulness, and you can
Yes.
get them on my website. Gordy will give you both. The password is Leader Retreat. It's all one word.
Okay.
And Gordy can give you the actual link to the meditations, but it's www.draudreyt.com/meditations and password Leader Retreat. But yes, you'll definitely be able to get hold of those.
Yes, I'll get that from you and then share it on my page. And thank you so much. And we will do some more work together. And just stay safe, stay well, keep laughing, and look after one another. And sending lots of love to your family, especially to your dad. Lots of healing energy. Thank you so much, and see you, darlings, very soon. Lots of love and hugs. Bye-bye. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye,
Cheers. See ya.
darlings. Bye-bye.